This is the enormous man, Steve Kuclo himself, the giant, the king snake.
Hey, right.
Got him in here, man.
Welcome.
Dude, how the fuck are you, man?
Man, I'm doing great.
You're looking insane, dude. You're looking fucking nuts.
How many weeks is it
Track of the whole
left?
prep.
Is it 2 weeks? 3? 2, 3?
2.5.
2.5? So it's Saturday that in 2.5 weeks.
Yeah. Actually, the Arnold, they kind of threw a curveball at us this year. It's a 2-day show. Normally it's 1 day. Saturday morning is prejudging finals Saturday night, but they're making it Friday night prejudging Saturday night finals, kind of like Olympia.
Yeah,
Wait, when did they announce that? That's a huge curveball. That changes a lot.
I just found that out like a week ago, so I don't even know if people know yet. But I guess some people knew, but I just found out.
For people in chat who don't compete, can you explain why that's so significant to your overall stage approach?
There's a double-edged sword with it. So you have to. The suck part about it is having to hold a condition and peak for 2 days. The good part about it is if something's a little off, you can kind of regroup and have more time to regroup and try to peak again and try to improve for Saturday night. So you'd have 24 hours in essence to improve. 1 day shows are great because obviously you just throw everything at it, all in on that prejudging in hopes that you nail it. And then there's not a lot of time in between the shows for especially the Arnold. So it's like you roll right into finals and try to get a meal in between. And I remember last year, finals was over about 3:00, and then prejudge was over about 3:00. Finals started at 7, so there was just enough time by the time you get out, talk to your fans, take pictures, eat a meal, and you're like, man, I'm already back on stage. So.
The Arnold's such a significant show in that it has the pageantry and the fan component of the Olympia, so to make it all happen in 1 day I think can be complicating in that you have obligations as a brand, as an individual and as a personality in the sport isn't the same as going to the Savannah Pro or something like that, where it's much more about winning the show, securing your position in the Olympia, things of that nature, where the Arnold's its own kind of pinnacle.
It really is. I think the show has grown year after year after year, and I think for me it's one of those shows I really want to win as a career legacy show to really kind of cement my name in history a little bit better, to say, hey, this guy was one of the top guys, and to hold an Arnold victory definitely is going to be a milestone for me for sure.
Do you think you will win, or that was the statement you were going to win?
I'm going in there to win. There's no doubt. Placing third last year, questionable second. They had Nick and I battling out prejudging first and second, and I took some notes from last year, kind of regrouped and figure out what I want to do into going into this year to be able to bring an improved package. And I think they want to see. I know the package they want to see me bring. Last few years, I think we've improved and continued to dial it in. And this year, I think we really are focusing on just a crisp, detailed condition. I have the size, so I think if we bring it all together, it's going to be hard. It'll be one of the guys to be hard to beat, for sure.
I agree with you, because you're always one of the biggest. So when you're the biggest, being the best conditioned as well, that might win you the show.
Exactly.
You aren't the kind of person who has to worry about going flat. You will always stand out enormous on stage. It doesn't matter how much you pull out or how much you pull down your food or your carbs. You're still going to look insane regardless. Obviously, you want to be full and you want to pop on stage, but you are not going to be at risk of being outsized on stage, typically ever. Which is huge, so I do think that's interesting when you talk about because I think a lot of people worry about that, especially in prep, talking with a lot of bodybuilders, is making sure that they don't sacrifice fullness and size as they go on to stage. So it becomes that that is the art of peaking that is so critical to anyone's stage package. And the credit I always give to and previously, I don't know how it's going to go anymore, but what I thought Nick did really well was that he always peaks. He always peaks pretty perfectly. Matt knows his body very well. I don't know what's going to happen now that they're not working together, but it's the one thing, for all the criticism you could give Nick Walker, he always peaked well. I never saw him really miss. And so that's the thing where if you're great at peaking, you're going to place pretty decent at shows. Even if you aren't the best bodybuilder.
I would agree. I think that, it for me, I'm like you said, flat for me is not a look small look. It's I kind of lose that 3D or that graininess if I'm flat. So that's the the battle we push, especially the size, carrying 280, 285 on stage, it takes a lot to maintain that, especially through a rough prejudging where, you're getting posed 30, 40 minutes up there and then having to turn that around and go into the finals. So there's the balancing act of fluid, food, making sure you're dry enough and making sure you're full enough. And I think we got a good formula laid out for sure.
Maybe
medieval alchemy, man.
Maybe you could describe a last week before a competition for the viewers. Like how would you do it? Like
there's definitely, you hear a lot of, I hear guys in the gym all the time that don't know a lot about the sport, but know the sport, have been around, people that have competed. They're always like, don't you dehydrate yourself for 2 weeks at a time and starve the last 2 weeks? And I'm like, well, maybe back in the day, but things are different now. Yeah. For us now, I like to do things a little more methodically, and I think it creates less risk for bad shit to happen. I think if you, instead of trying to over-carb for 1 or 2 days, like guys are trying, I'm going to carb up and do something crazy, you're risking looking, I always say to risk looking 1% better, you're going to risk looking 99% worse if you screw something up. So for me, it's like, let's carb up over the whole week versus like 2-3 days at 1,000 grams. Let's divide that out, let my body digest it, and not overload it. And that's really worked better for me over the last few years, I'd say. And then water manipulation, not going crazy on water, because if I cut water too hard or too quick, my body's digestion slows down. I start losing my fullness. You realize the importance of water as you go into the show. So it's cut out, but it always varies based on how I'm looking in dryness. But really the last week is kind of like, let's see where I'm at. People think you got to go through this crazy depletion, and sometimes you do, but I mean, if you're in shape, you've spent the last 10, 14, 16 weeks depleting your body already, and then you go into the last week, okay, now I'm going to start resting my body, reducing cortisol, reducing water retention, feeding my body with the right food that I need to go into the show with, really the same foods I've been eating, but more of them, and then just monitoring things day to day. It's not doing anything crazy. And that's kind of my plan. I just try to keep it simple, reduce risk of screwing something up or throwing some crazy variable in there. And I think
like the fucking weird triple cheeseburger thing people will do. Like, it's like, why? Like, you haven't had a hamburger in like fucking 2 years, man. Like, why now on this show are you choosing? Like, there's so many, and especially when you bring up hydration and digestion, I think that's such an under-considered variable, in that like digestion and nutrient assimilation and the way your body's making use of the food you're giving it is such a critical, and it has to do with water retention and your overall bodily stress and cortisol levels. Like, all of that is intertwined, and people who like want to like dry themselves out over like a 2-week period to the point where they have nothing, or like bomb themselves with water regulating supplements and things like that. Like, I see more people miss their look by abusing those than anything else. Like, every now and then someone will get it right, and then everyone's like, okay, I guess we have to do that now. It's not, it's so weird, man. It's so person to person,
It really is, and I think a lot of competitors, especially amateurs, struggle with that, and I think even coaches, like, what a coach may do for one person may not work for the other, but that's their formula. So they may take an athlete, nail them the first 1 or 2 shows, and then they start struggling with them, or then you just see it in the sport, the turnover with trainers. But I think if you have a trainer you trust, somebody that is intelligent enough to know the body and how it works, for me, I put my trust in Gina for the last 4 or 5 years, and she's done an amazing job. I know her education and what she's like, the method she uses, I trust, and I think that's worked really well for me in helping this, my package really improve over the last few years.
The description you gave sounded very similar to what Patrick gave me before Arnold when I competed there in UK last year. Pretty much just keeping it safe, nothing crazy, doing the carb ups over a few days. He didn't go in and like any really high on the carbs, just a little bit up every day. So it sounds pretty similar.
And I've done both. I've done more, man. I've tried to cram home in a few, I'd say probably 3 or 4, about 3 years ago at the Arnold, we were like, let's just really try to go full look. And I mean, felt like I was busting at the seams, but at the same time, I started struggling with like, man, I feel like I got so much food in my stomach, this is not going anywhere. That digestion became a problem, and then I need to, obviously on stage you want to maintain your stomach and keep the the flat stomach, and that became an issue. So there's definitely the balance, game you're playing with making sure that you can handle the food, but you need the food as well.
It's interesting because I remember the last Arnold, for instance. Like I had you and Nick. I put you above Nick because I prefer you. I mean, we've talked a lot about my stance on general shape and what I prefer out of competitors, and I've always preferred the look that you bring to a lot of competitors in that regard. But I always give credence to the fact that some judges are going to go for the driest, grainiest kind of look they can, and there's a lot of balance to that, right? What is it that they told you specifically? Because I didn't expect you to drop to third. That was really shocking to me. And I like, first of all, I'm sure that there's like an I need to do better than that mentality in the back of your head now, because you can do better. Like that was a weird fucking end to the show. And so you get really immediate redemption here with an Arnold being so close after the last, which is kind of an interesting concept. What's your mindset like? Like, how's your headspace, I guess?
There is that the redemption part of it. Like, okay, I think there's a couple factors playing in it. The one, the show's 2 days this year, which I think will, because last year, like I said, the show was over so early, it went so late, it went right into finals pretty much, and I didn't have enough time to kind of refuel my body. And then what I heard feedback was I got a little flat, I lost some separation, and that's really what pushed me down. Do I agree with that? Maybe not so much, but like, you take the feedback, the criticism, and you say, okay, that's, if they want to see more separation, I want to make sure my fullness is there and it carries through to the finals, then that's what I'm going to do. 2-day show will allow me to have a little bit more time to make the changes and make sure that we're on track and we're not trying to overcompensate or do anything crazy. So I think this year, I think we got a good formula figured out. I think I know what my body likes to do going into the last week or two. I think we know what I need to do right around the show, and then those couple days. So it's going to be I think it's going to be a really good show. I think there's an incredible lineup, but then also, I really just focus on what I have to do, because I can't control what other guys are doing. And if I do everything I need to do, then we're going to show up.
Yeah, I think that's one of the most complex elements of bodybuilding, is that at the end of the day, it's still wildly subjective. It varies from judging panel to judging panel, even if they want to say it. And you also compete in the most objective division, being like normally the biggest and the grainiest is going to make it. And even still, there's questions of who was the better package there. And so we actually have what I think is uniquely probably the most competitive Arnold lineup we've seen in a while, in that we have, we have a former Mr. Olympia there, which you don't normally see former Mr. O's competing. I mean, the Arnold's maybe the only show you'll ever see that, but there's a lot of really solid competition, people who are coming up looking really promising, like Brett Wilkin, for instance. He's got a great package. I'm interested in seeing what he brings as well. So we have like a level of competition, both in new competitors, established competitors, and former Mr. Olympia winners. It's going to be a really cool proving ground, I think, and especially because when was the last time we saw you at the Olympia stage? Was it 2019 or 2020?
2019. 2020 was the crazy year.
Yeah, last year
didn't get the qualification, so this year, 19 was my last one.
Yeah,
that's the one I got sixth place.
Yeah, that was a fucking great package too. But the thing too is that every package you brought thus far, it's that you have such enormous fullness in your upper body and your lower body in turn, that like it's always just been a matter of like, separation, if they want what it is they're awarding, what it is you bring on a given day. But like everything about like the bone, like the structure and the quality of muscle has been there. So it's always just good. Like you're in the trial and error. Like it's like bodybuilding's like a perpetual trial and error process, which is what I find fascinating. Like the more you learn to speak to new bodybuilders or different bodybuilders, it's like what they do, what they rely on, normally totally different, right? And so seeing what it is, even because how old are you, Steve?
36. I'll be 37 in August, so I still got some time in the 36.
I would say you're like right in your prime. Like this is like you're kind of at the like you've got like you're the best like 4 or so years of bodybuilding probably coming up here.
Yeah.
What is when did you start bodybuilding?
I was 18. I've been competing for over 18 years. Yeah, so I competed as a teenager. I went to teenage nationals. Won the heavyweight in '03 and '04, I believe it was. I've been doing it a while, and it's, for me, it's just been a marathon. It's not trying to rush stuff and really listen to my body and do things safely and properly. And I think that's why I've been afforded such a long career in this sport, is because I've tried to do things as smart as possible, you know.
Yeah, you're remarkably healthy. What are some of the strategies that you employ in that regard, like by way of what you're comfortable speaking on, of course?
Yeah, no, for me, it's really, general health is important to me. I think some people just, you know, they get competitors' mindset. Let's get laser focused and just getting huge, and that's great, and that's the old kind of mentality. Let's get as big as possible. But for me now, what I feel like has worked really well for me is really getting off the gas when I'm not competing. Like, I'm not trying to get as big as I can in the off season. I still train, I still eat good, and I probably drop maybe 10 or 15 pounds comparatively to contest prep. Kind of more of like a Kevin LeBron approach.
Yeah,
you know?
I was gonna say.
It's worked really well for me. I've grown into the last 3 or 4 years. I've kind of took this approach instead of just trying to keep that big, full, you know, gnarly look. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to rest my body, get regular blood work done. You know, and seeing, now that I'm getting older and being more, obviously, like, more health conscious with things, like making sure my cholesterol is in check, making sure my blood pressure is always in check. I donate blood on a regular.
Awesome.
Just some basic things you can do to make sure that, you know, your liver health's good, taking the right supplements for that, cholesterol, heart, you know, just those, some of the basic, even doing, as some people look down on it, but cardio. I think, you know, doing cardio in the off season and keeping
The fact
my
that
heart
some
in
people
check.
look down on it, it's like, what
Yeah,
the
they're like,
fuck?
oh, you do cardio. Like,
How much
you too
cardio do you
fucking
do?
manly to do cardio?
How much cardio do you do in the off season?
20 to 30 minutes, probably 3-4 times a week on top of my workouts. You know, I like doing a lot of like HIIT cardio too, where I'll do a lot of high intensity, get on a bike and rip it and do stuff like that. And that's, to me, that really helps my training, but it also helps keep me healthy. You know?
And I had one more question. Out through the years, the older you have gotten, have you got more injuries compared to when you were younger?
No, I've been very fortunate to not really have many injuries. I mean, you have your nagging little pains that come up here and there, elbow or knee type stuff. But, you know, I think if I trained the way I did when I was 18 and 20 years old, I'd probably be a lot more injured now. But I backed off the weight a little bit, focused more on the form and training smarter. I still train hard, and I still train very, you know, pretty heavy in comparison. Not quite as, I mean, I look at videos when I was 18 and I was front squatting 500 pounds and I didn't really know better. I just kind of did it because my training partner was doing it. So, but now I definitely try to train smarter, and it's, if something's hurting, if something, you know, doesn't feel right, like I don't do it. I'm not trying to, you know, Instagram lift where I'm just deadlifting crazy weight, because I mean, some of the best advice I got was, when's the last time a judge asked you how much you bench pressed or how much I squatted? But you never have.
So what
it's
you're saying,
always, you know, so to me, it's training to get the results I want, training to improve my physique, not necessarily just to get a bigger following.
So what you're saying is you won't go to Dubai to lift with Larry Wheels on YouTube.
I know he's pretty tore up now. I mean, God bless the guy. I mean, he's done a good job, but I know he's pretty beat up.
Yeah, well, the first time we shot with Carlos, I'm pretty sure he like just finished a tour with Larry in Dubai, and I was horrified the whole time, man, because Carlos has such a pretty physique, man. Like, there are no big holes in it or anything. Everything's full. I'm like, if you fucking tear one of those beautiful biceps, man, I'm gonna fucking, like,
right.
Bodybuilding needs that. Don't do it.
True.
But I think, to what extent, and this is, I think, always an interesting question, because I always remembered hearing, like, you know, like, Fuad would talk a lot about, like, he was emphasizing in a lot of, like, his really early podcasts when I'd listened to him, was, like, his experience with, like, Chad Nichols and having, like, these crazy cheat days and things that were always, like, fundamentally counter to every, like, conventional, like well-grounded bodybuilding protocol, in my opinion, even in the off-season. He really credits that to his growth. To what extent would you credit the, like, idiotic 18-year-old, like, 500-pound front squat kind of stuff, just keeping up with the partner, to your development physically? Like, do you think that it was an important part in getting the physique that you ended up attaining?
For sure. I think it's kind of really what I built my base on, and I think it definitely played a role in developing my physique. I think my body really responds well to heavy weight. I think that's everybody, like we talked about, everybody's a little different, and some people could pick up a 5-pound dumbbell, curl it, and have 22-inch arms. Like that's crazy genetics. And not saying I don't have good genetics, but I'm just saying my body really responds to getting, throwing some heavy weight at it. And I mean, I'll dumbbell press 200-pound dumbbells for chest press, and I'll still move some weight when I want to, but I don't do it all the time. And I definitely listen to my body if something's hurting. And like even a couple years ago, I did some stem cell treatment in my shoulders and knees and back, and that just stuff like that has helped prolong my career and make me feel just a lot better in what I'm doing.
That's crazy. I didn't know that. Oh wait, maybe you did mention that once upon a time to me, but that's I haven't heard any other bodybuilder do something to that extent or of that ilk. Like, and you credit that to some of your longevity and good feeling?
Yeah, for sure. I think and I do a lot of, I call it prehab stuff. I do a lot of chiropractic, deep tissue massage. When sometimes I get a little off track and kind of neglect my body, but when I'm contest prep and things I need to be on track, doing that kind of stuff regularly definitely keeps me healthy. But the stem cell was something like years of training heavy. My back, I really noticed my lower back was kind of compressed. The disc space was compressed, and that happens with even runners or different things. There's a lot of that gets a lot of abuse. Mm-hmm. So I got an MRI, went to go see a friend of mine that specializes in stem cell treatment here in Dallas, and he's like, man, let's do your back, your knees, and shoulders. And I'd say my back feels like I'm 25 again, and I could squat and then not have back pain like I used to, kind of, a couple days after, where I'm just like, man, why did I do that? But now I'm like, I feel great. So it's definitely something I highly recommend.
That's crazy regenerative science. That's like almost dystopian how effective that seems to be. That's weird, man.
I never heard about anyone doing that before. Never.
It makes you wonder if there'd be implications on like, that being considered like a PED in other areas of athletics, like if that's going to like, if like at some point people in the Olympics are like, should we allow this? That's an interesting point of contention for the future, because that's crazy. I haven't heard anyone who's done it. That's amazing.
Yeah, they ultimately take your own stem cells, so it's not even like getting a donor, or they pull it right from your hip bone, and then they extract it, pull out the stem cell from it, and then inject it in the areas that you want done. So I don't see it being like something that should be. I think it's one of those things, like it works, and like why isn't it done more? Because it works.
So from what I understand, I think you and Knut are the same age, right?
Yeah, I'm born in 86. I'm born in 86.
So which of you two, like, what were your influences? Because Knut, you started bodybuilding super young as well, right? You were around like 18, 19, weren't you?
Yeah, I competed first time when I was 20, but I started lifting when I was 13, so I think the first guy I can remember has to be Dorian Yates or something.
Mm-hmm.
Probably because he was the top guy. At least when I started looking at bodybuilding, I didn't even know what bodybuilding was when I started lifting myself. So.
And he's super revolutionary thinker as well in bodybuilding and like what it is he brought to the sport. Like conditioning, size. That's. Were you around the same era? Like, would that have been where you took inspiration as well, Steve?
Yeah, it's kind of was the Cutler-Ronnie feuds, kind of in the early 2000s.
Yeah,
was. I remember getting together with my friends, and we'd buy the Olympians on pay-per-view, and we'd watch it, and like that was. And then at the time too, I lived in Detroit, so I was only 3 hours from Columbus, Ohio, where the Arnold is. So when I was 15 years old, I'd drive down with friends from the gym, and we go to the expo and get all kind of inspiration just from showing up to that. So it's cool to be able to go there now as what I was a fan and just kind of a hobby of the sport. Now I'm doing it as a career, and one of the guys actually competing on that stage is something, when I think about it, it's a pretty cool feeling,
Gotta be surreal. And then we also have to credit for a moment the terrible fucking climate you two grew up in, contributing to you staying indoors and going to the gym. Detroit's got to be fucking icy, man. Jesus.
It's pretty ugly.
It can't be worse than here. It can't be worse than this place.
Yeah, we're trying to get Knut to come to Texas, man. It's been an ongoing effort here.
I need to get a green card and stay there as well, because I can't go back to this fucking snow. Oh,
Canute's just looking for a little freedom, man. He needs an
Well.
Iron Rebel American flag tee. Get him all
There you go.
down,
There
man.
you go.
maybe a
And I,
Corvette as well. Change out to.
Come on, bring it. Bring it.
Yeah, but I told the story of the last time I saw you, and you fucking floored it for just a hot minute. And I've never like I tell people I giggled like unintentionally, like it just I was like what the fuck, man? Like I never felt my fucking like body flying. But dude, crazy intersection. Building a car, building a body, kind of similar, man. Like it's like I like this constant tinkering and seeing what more you can get out of it, especially once you get to a certain. It's funny how the brain stays consistent across a number of different endeavors. Like when you are so prone to optimization and like going beyond, it's like gotta be crazy.
I use that analogy a lot with people, because I could say, okay, like a vehicle, and I lay it out real simple for people. Like the better fuel you put in the car, the better it's going to run. So I like the better food you eat, the better your body's going to perform. And obviously, like you said, it is a constant evolution of, hey, let's try to tweak this and see if we can get a little more out of it, and try to add this, see if we get a little more out of it. So yeah, the kind of crossover between the two worlds is very similar.
Yeah, it's just like the calculus of optimization, like always going on. Like, how can I make this a little bit cooler, a little bit faster, a little bit bigger, And
Yeah.
I mean, I think that like when someone that's why I will like, me, like I'm for all intents and purposes a fucking normie in this call, like I'm not I love I live a bodybuilding life, but I'm not a bodybuilder, But I always prescribe kind of bodybuilding paradigms to people for that reason, and that it trains your mind to be like receptive to small changes eliciting big results, if that makes sense.
Sure. Sure.
And that these minor tweaks over time, when applied and maintained, can have radical change for someone, like even in just changing your food sources and things of that nature, and like how better your mind can function. I really credit a lot of like the good feeling I've developed over the last 2 years to like I now eat the same foods every day. I know what my body digests well, what I respond well to, what maintains sustainable like good feeling energy. These things matter, and they add up, to all elements of your life. It's not something you can neglect just because you don't think you want to be like a big, strong bodybuilder. Someone's like, I don't want to get too bulky, like whatever, fuck you, man. Like you'd still be better for this,
Absolutely. And what you just explained is something that a lot of people can't grasp that idea, using food for function rather than for feel good. And I think as Americans, everybody wants to, enjoy it, and food's used as a lot of celebratory type of, thing, but we use it obviously as function, and there's times we still celebrate with food and enjoy it, but you have to, like you said, you've spent time learning your body, learning what works for you. And I think if you really want to take your fitness into another level, really want to, and there's crossover all across your life. It doesn't just mean you want to, have abs and look good for take pictures and post online. You're going to have better relationship in, at home, friendship. You're gonna perform better in the workplace. There's so many things that you get your fitness in line, it's going to carry over a lot into your life.
100%.
So what car do you drive? I was about to say, what car do you drive, Wake?
Go for it. Yeah. What car do I drive? Yeah, I chose Toyota 4Runner. I just had 4 new rotors put into it. I'm going to run this thing into the dirt, man. I will drive
That's
this
awesome.
thing until it falls apart at the seams, because, as much as I love feeling that, it's like my favorite car I ever owned was a Subaru WRX. It just like stuck to the floor. It was the prettiest car I'd ever driven. I'd got it as soon as I graduated high school. It saved up some money. It was very cool car to me, and I shouldn't have cars like that. I just shouldn't. They're too fun. My brain is too wired to experience I want dopamine wherever I can find it, and so if I can press the pedal to the floor and feel it every single time, I'm gonna do it. The 4Runner's perfect. It doesn't ever do that to me. It's from 2007. It's cloth seats. I just drive it around. I get from point A to point B now.
It's
what I need.
It works.
It's what I need, Steve. Maybe one day I'll have another secondary car. I like motorcycles a little more than I do cars now.
Yeah.
But yeah, the
cool.
2007 4Runner, and I will drive it until it explodes. That's the goal. That's the goal. That's it.
But oh no, I forgot. I had a question for you, but I forgot the question. So just continue.
Dude, I was curious too, because you had some experience with this as well, in that, since you switched to a coach like Patrick, who's much more rigid in the food that he allows his clients to consume, how have you experienced a similar kind of optimization? Because I think that your growth that you've seen just in the amount of solid lean body tissue that you're holding, as opposed to, you know, like your general body composition has improved dramatically through that.
I think as well, because before I started with Patrick, I had like a year's time where I wasn't that motivated for competing. Nothing. It was Corona. We had planned out competing in 2020, but everything was closed. We couldn't travel. Nothing. So it was just I was going to the gym regularly like normal, but with the food, which takes way more time than going to the gym, it was like it was crap. So when I started up with Patrick, we went into no cheat meals. He doesn't have any. It's just the food. It's the clean food all day. And everything just started working better. We could increase the calories a lot. We could I could lift more. I was losing fat, even though we probably had 2,000 calories more than I had earlier in the off season. And during the contest prep, for me, like I can mention calories, but it isn't that important. Like the lowest we went down to was like 3,100 for a classic physique competitor. I would guess that's pretty high. Even when you hear Chris Bumstead, has to go down to below 2,000 to get in shape.
Yeah, that's crazy to me too, to hear that.
So it just worked. Everything worked better, I think. That's how it felt.
Which, it's also crazy to think of you as a classic physique competitor sometimes, because you really whenever I see you, I'm like, you're fucking, like, you're big. Like I don't look at you and think that you competed classic like ever. Like, no, until I see you like when you're prepped and ready to go on stage.
Obviously. But if you look at off-season pro classic physique, they would look like bodybuilders as well. Obviously not open class Olympia bodybuilders, but if you compare them to most bodybuilders, they're almost the same size in the off season. Steve, obviously.
What do you think of the classic physique division? I mean, it's been out for a while now. It's got its own identity. Like, you've been around since before, where a bodybuilder was a bodybuilder, and that was right. It. You know, right. Like, what's your opinion about the ways that it's kind of splintered and we've created all these different aesthetics?
I'm a big fan of it. I think it highlights guys like that can't get to that 250, 60, 70 mark on stage. So it's given them an avenue to really showcase an incredible physique. Those guys' lines are insane. I think genetically they're just half of them are mutants. I mean, they look like they're just kind of carved out of clay. But I'm a big fan of the division. They do a great job. They do the homework. They train legs. I mean, my hat's off to them. And
they train legs.
A little shot on the men's physique division.
Well, no, man, it's true though, right? But there's, how often do you look at some of those guys and are you like, if you just fucking pushed it, you know, like if you just really tried to get huge, like you could break. Like,
a lot of them have great genetics too, but they're just not.
Well, you know, dude, Brian Jones, right? Do you know who I'm talking? Is he a Dallas guy too?
I'm not sure where he's from.
I thought he was like Richardson or something like that, but okay. I could be off. But he's transitioning up, I think. Okay. I think he's going up to open, and so like there are a few guys where every now and then you'll see someone where it's like, dude, what are you doing here? Like you look too, even though you're within the weight class, you look too big to be on the stage. You know, like even though you hit your mark, like the way that your body holds muscle. It's just, he's in Arizona. Yeah. Oh, thanks, Kyle. Yeah. Oh yeah, Kyle's in chat, by the way. He's watching. Yeah, man, I was surprised by some of those guys because they look so fucking like they can. The way that some people hold muscle, they're made for open. You know what I mean? Like they're just, they don't have the lines, and that doesn't mean that they don't have great lines. It means that like classic to me is very, it's got its own subjective bent. It's not just going to be the best physique on stage. Like you could argue that Chris isn't even the best physique on the classic stage. He's just undeniably the most classic. Like you can't, like he's very hard to contest because he's got these lines that for some reason define that division, and he'll be the standard for a very long time, I think. You know, until he retires or we decide that we want something else. But it raises interesting questions for ceilings too, because there are some people who I think they don't want to go to open, but they're tired of staying within their classic limitations.
Correct.
Well,
so it's interesting, like how it's going to go. I think 212 is becoming that though. We get some nutty people in 212 now, like really crazy physiques.
Yeah, where you question like that guy's 212. Like,
Yeah.
how does he suck down to 212?
That hollow bones, man. There's a dude named Ricky Moten who is going up to 212. Who like that dude was like 188 on the class. I think it was a classic weight cap or something like that. He's looked like an open class bodybuilder. Like every time we'd see him, it's like, dude, you've got to move up. This looks so weird. You're too big for this, even though you're 180 pounds. Like it makes no sense, man.
Right. Yeah. The illusion. That's the thing. Of bodybuilding's a lot of an illusion sport too. Like, you know how to present your package. If you know how to pose properly, you can make yourself look a lot bigger than you actually are. So that's, you see some guys, especially the classic guys, do a phenomenal job at it. And there's been guys in the pro levels that have done very good at like hiding weak points and then showcasing their physique even more than what genetically they had.
You can even look at the OG, man. That's like Arnold's bread and butter. Like he was a fucking master poser. Like people really don't credit like he has a ton of weak points in his physique, a few strengths, but like he's the best. He was one of the best at presenting his physique in ways that no one had really thought of before. And that was also like a Wild West thing. But when you think about so much of like the culture that informs bodybuilding, it's like posing is at its core. It's becoming a statue. It's a human ideal. Which is fucking crazy. That's why I'll always have respect for it, and I'll never like anyone who sees it as being inherently self-indulgent. I think totally misses the like optimization component of it, and like there's so much stigma that surrounds bodybuilding. So much outside of our circles and like the people who really revere it. A ton of people who see it as stupid or vapid, but like to me, it's like they don't understand the amount of like research, understanding the human body, like optimization of the body in turn, and that overall health markers that people give mind to. Like the average bodybuilder is so much more aware of what's going on with their body than anyone else out there. Any fucking granola eating yogi, like I promise you, the average meathead at the gym who competes at like the NPC stage is better with his body than them. And like it's a very strange phenomena in that we've also had like really tragic year, like the last 365 days at least as a community. It's been really devastating, for bodybuilding as a whole. And the more that people give mind to it, it's good to hear someone like yourself, in a position of extreme success, also representing an enormous physique, giving credence to taking your foot off the fucking gas and not making bodybuilding about what it is you present on Instagram, because you cannot be fucking stage lean and round and full 365 days out of the year and expect to be like a healthy 40-year-old person ever, and it's really cool that you say that. Like, it might have something to do with where you are, like generationally as well, and like what it is you took from. But it's something I definitely have concern for when you see a lot of like, even just like teenagers who are like trying to figure out how they can slot into it, because it's become a game of presentation, not a game of growing and or like actually bodybuilding. It's about
like you said, to me, bodybuilding's a lot. There's personal growth that comes with it, and there's also physical growth too. And I hear guys in the gym, young guys, like you said, teenagers, guys just starting off, even first-time competitors that are telling me what they're doing and the cycles they're taking, and I'm like, that's more than most of the guys on Olympia stage right there. Like, you have no idea what you're doing. So, one, I want to like slap them, and two, I want to slap the person that's telling them all this stuff, and they're just probably compiling stuff from that they see online. And
who's the fucking asshole from LA Fitness? Who, like, learned that on bodybuilding.com.
Or the guys that are telling that, hey, you got to do all this because that's what so and so used, and if you want to get that big, you got to do it too. Like, it's and I think in bodybuilding, a lot of people have that mentality of more is better, and it's not always the case. When I start working with George Farah, I really took a step back and was, he kind of helped me schedule and lay supplement out totally differently than I've been doing. And not only did I feel better, but just health in general felt, was improved, so, it's important to, especially people that are just starting off, vet your trainers, see what they've done, talk to them. Just don't assume that they know everything just based on either a picture of one person they got into shape or maybe themselves. Like, it's not always the case. Definitely investigate, vet them, make sure they're the right person for the job.
I think so many people go with the person nearest to them, and I think that's the issue, is that they'll find the person who they have access to. Like, I remember my first coach I came out of fashion modeling at like 155 pounds, and I was like, I'm 6'4", man. Like, you know, I'm a tall guy. Like, I was like, I need to I cannot be 155 pounds. And so I found a coach because I was like, I need someone who, like, I feel like shit. I haven't wanted to have sex in like 6 months. Like, something's not right, you know? So I was like, I want someone who understands hormones. So we got like blood work done and everything. We started training. COVID hit, and I was just like training out in a fucking like we had been working for 2 weeks when COVID shut down all the gyms. So we were working out in a park at like University of Texas at Austin. That's all I was doing. Just going to the park and doing like pull-ups and band workouts. A month and a half in, he's like, I think we're ready to start a cycle. And I was like, this feels not right. One, because like I'm growing like 2 pounds a fucking week right now because I'm just like my body's just pulling food on right now. I've got plenty of tissue right now for where it was, and like we're still working out with fucking resistance bands in a park. You know, like, why should I be in these? Like, yeah, I think we're ready. He prescribes me the 500 mgs Sustanon, 500 mgs Testa, 500 mgs, what was it? Big thing, a lot of Prolact, MPP. He wanted 500 mgs MPP, 500 mgs Sustanon. And I was like, dude, I'm 180 pounds and I'm 6'4", and we've been training for a month and a half. I did not follow a single thing he said. I ended up linking up with, Hunter at that point, and we just ended up talking back and forth. Him and Luke helped me a ton. Where we just, you absolutely don't need drugs, dude. Like, in no way where you are do you need that. And I continued to grow like consistently for the next year. And now, no one believes that I transformed without drugs because, you can do a lot without it, but people want to push it, but they don't optimize their food. They don't optimize their training. And so they look like shit. And then they try to take like weird underground drugs and see if it works, doses that are super unhealthy. And they wonder why they look like shit. It's like, yeah, because that's not the game. It's not a matter of like just inputting the thing that you think is the cheat code. Like, it's about like, if you don't use it intelligently, you will not respond well. It will look bad, and you will not be happy with what it is you made of it. So, like, I see it happen all the time, man. And the kids are fucking doing it at a rapid clip. It's weird.
There's a reason why you look better than most people in normal gyms that is even using gear.
Yeah, man. There's smart protocol, and people like don't adhere to it and or like seek it out because it's not what. And there's a ton of dogma, man. I remember, dude, I go on podcasts on here all the time, and people will be like, so what do you think like this person takes? They'll ask me that all the time, and I'll be like, less than you think. Every time it's way less than you think. Like, I've fucking helped. I've seen syringes be drawn, man. Like, I know exactly what these guys take. It's less than you think, way less than you think, and way less than you're taking, dude. So please, like for your health, man, like you're like way past the point of saturation here. It's not helping you. But people don't get it, man. And it's weird because there's a ton of dogma, and people want to feel like, everyone's like, if it's not what they wanted to hear, you're lying to them. You know what I mean? You're lying to them because you want to be the most genetically superior or something like that. It's like, it's not the case.
Yeah, but it is a lot of genetics as well. Because let's say I could never compete with Steve. That couldn't happen. Never. I couldn't get to that size. And believe me, I've tried for years, but it doesn't work. So yeah, so there's some limits to where you can go. Like there's a reason also what they've added in classic, because some of them could probably easily go over to open class, but for others, I think they would struggle to put on those extra 40 pounds of mass.
Wait, so what do you think then? Like, how overstated or understated do you think genetics are in the discussion? Because I feel like there are people who like to say that everything's genetics, and then there are people who want to say that, like, genetics don't matter, stop blaming your genetics. And, like, I think that there's a fucking middle ground. But I want to know what you guys think, because you guys have been doing this a lot longer than me.
You can start, Steve. What do you think? No, you're muted. We can't hear you. Wait. Try. No.
Hold on. Leave the call and come back to the call, Steve.
You just now he left.
Yeah. Then I'll come back.
Let's see.
It might be in his audio sources because he definitely put his headphones on, so he might have to check his audio sources. And go to the
now
gear.
we can hear you.
Oh, there you go. Hell yeah.
Yeah. Okay. No, I think that question based on genetics, I think bodybuilding is a big genetic sport. I'd say probably 80-90% of it is genetics. I mean, if you're a skinny guy that's 130 pounds in high school, very unlikely you're going to be 250 monster jacked. Like, it's just not in your genetics. Genetically, I was always a bigger guy. I think, look at my grandparents, look at my of the family, my dad's side of the family, and I see where the genetic lineage kind of tied in with me. It's definitely a big factor in what you can do.
Yeah, that like a natural mesomorph kind of like thick joints thing going on. Also, Luke is in chat, by the way. Luke, this is the owner of Buying Rebel. He's telling me to take drugs. So, guys, be careful who you surround yourself with.
I can't see the chat. Where's the chat at?
It's best. What I always tell people is don't look at the chat unless you really want to see the chat, because they're not the best people.
I can
they're weird.
I can send him the link so you can see. I can just type it in so he can read chat if he wants to. There will be
guys. I gotta protect my friends here a little bit. They don't need the gotcha input. They're not ready for it. Use Giga Chat, just link them.
I sent it in the Discord call. You should just turn down the volume so you don't hear the podcasts or what we're talking about in a repeat a few seconds later.
Yeah, Steve's about to.
I'll wait on that.
He's not ready. But yeah, that's So wait, Knut, what's your take on this, man?
I think genetics will limit like how far you can come. Like there will be up to a certain point. It feels like for myself, it felt like for a period I could grow pretty fast. Everything was just going, and then I hit the point where it was really hard to like I can grow a little bit, but it's way slower. It demands way more food. It's easy if I overdo the food, I just get fat, and it won't put on that much more muscle. But it's really slow compared to what it was. So it stops at the point.
Dude, I think that like P curve thing that I know John Jewett talks about it a lot, and the premise being that at a certain point, once you start to eclipse around 12% body fat, especially in enhanced competitors, your body biases fat storage more than muscle growth and repair, which is an interesting thing that I read. That so apparently once the more fat you add, the less likely you are to be converting the energy that your body digests from food into new muscle tissue. It is more likely to store it as fat for whatever reason. I don't know the actual science behind it, but John speaks on it a lot, and so does Hunter. The more I see the competitors that seem to do really, really well and add reliable tissue year after year, they don't go overboard in their off season, to the point to where they're totally fucking just, inflated, you can push the water retention in on their arms and shit, I don't really see that as much.
I think Patrick will agree, because I got a text from him the other day, and I can read it out for you if you give me a second. The Knut Patrick saga has been one of my favorite narratives in bodybuilding for a while now. We definitely don't need more body weight, aka you're fat. Straight up, we don't need any more body weight, was what he said.
What I think is crazy too, man, is just how low the threshold for bodybuilding fat is. Like when we call people fat in this sport, it's like they still have like visible abs. Like they're still like pretty fucking they still look good.
Yeah.
Like no, it's gone too far, man. You gotta pull back.
Yeah, no
one can get that.
But that was more like you said. He doesn't want me to add more fat to in the off season that I have now. Probably because of the same reason you said.
It's one thing I've heard, but whether or not it's true, I don't know. I mean, this shit. It's like this. Whatever study they used was like 4 students in a college in Sweden, and they never trained before or something. We don't know. The actual. That's why a lot of it's weird, because bodybuilding, and Steve, I'm interested in what you think about this. Always seems like it rides this intersection of it's kind of like the Wild West of physiology and nutrition sciences, in that these are things that are really hard to standardize and get legitimate data on, no one's at least willing to study it. So much of it's hearsay. A lot of these, you hit a point in bodybuilding where you're relying on forums and gurus and shit, no matter how smart you are, because there are some things that can't be verifiably proven. It's all experimentation.
It really is. I think when the quote "bro science" that comes with bodybuilding, there is some science to that, I guess you could say. Just because it's not validated in the science lab, certain things they work. Well, then how do you explain it? I mean, is it obviously things differ person to person, but in general, I think science definitely has not studied the sport or what we do at the extremes, like the amount of food. Like, you know, when they look at, okay, what's your protein intake you need on a daily basis, and then bodybuilding's 2 to 3 times probably what they recommend, you know. But you see the people have a lot better lean muscle at that level, and they look a lot better. Well, then why's the reason for that? You know, I think there's a lot of things that haven't been studied that could be studied in the bodybuilding world. It's just so hard to get enough people to do it to validate a study. It's probably, you know, they can't do it at that point without the right amount of people. But I'm believe that bodybuilding is its own science for sure.
What are some of the things that you've taken from that, like as throughout your life, that like you're like, this is something that I don't think anyone else would ever substantiate, but this is what I stand by? Like, what's your most controversial take there?
If you pick up any basic nutrition book like that teaches nutrition in, say, a college course, like you'd read it and compare like what you know from your bodybuilding notes to what that book says, you're like, understand some of it, but it's not even close. Like, the food is so much more, because we're pushing our bodies to such a physiological level farther than what it should be and wants to be. You have to, I mean, food's the biggest factor in that whole equation. I don't care what, you know, I don't care how many drugs you take. If you don't eat what you need to eat, whether it's to lose body fat or gain muscle, you can't out-train a bad diet, and you can't out-drug a bad diet. It's just the way it is, you know, and that's kind of where I stand with that.
That's got to be one of the more salient points you could ever make too, because so many people want to discount that because it's the least fun. You know, that's like where the real sacrifice is. Going to the gym's fun, hitting PRs is cool, you know, like measuring out your chicken every day can suck. But that's why what Knut does on Twitch is the coolest fucking thing on the planet, because you literally show all the tedium, like all the boring nothingness of this. Like, he's been live for 12 hours today, like probably like 13.
Soon 13 13 hours live. So that's what I do. I wanted to, like, obviously Twitch is a platform for gaming, for every kinds of content, but what I wanted to implement into my stream was just show the bodybuilding lifestyle during that. So a lot of the streamers, they stream a lot of hours, but most of them will probably just sit and drink some soda with sugar, and that's all they do, or all the nutrition they get. But I make my meals on stream, not every day, but a lot of them, and eat them on stream. We go do the workout, everything. So that's, I think,
it's literal sun up to sundown bodybuilding.
That's awesome. I think that, you know, there's definitely the cliche or the people have this assumption of what bodybuilders do, or, you know, that. But I think if you're able to showcase really a full day, that's pretty awesome.
Well,
it's great. It's a full life. It's a full life, Steve. Like, this dude's live every fucking day. It's not even. It's the most. It's the reason I came to the platform to begin with, and why I started to pitch Twitch to a lot of bodybuilding brands, was like, this is untapped potential for a lot of transparent discourse and like really engendering more trust, because I think that one thing that's missing between bodybuilding brands and like everyday consumers is trust, you know, and a feeling of like, this is real, this is like, because people want to decry like steroids, so on and so forth. Anyone can do this. It's like, it's a very easily dismissible thing if you're an ignorant fucking, you know, like armchair dude, you know. So that's why I like really respect people who can do something like that, you know, or at least give real insight into it. But then there, you know, there are also there's more to life, you know, like sweet cars.
Sweet cars.
Also into cars, you know.
I love
like,
cars.
There's I don't know. You can do a lot on this, man.
Well, so if you ever want to go in, you can drive your car. You could do content with that. You can do it with.
Go live while I do it.
You can go live. You can just use your phone, go live, show off your car, drive a little bit, eat your food.
I don't know how much of your driving can be streamed.
Well, if it goes on a track.
Cool.
Yeah, potentially illegal.
Well, you can go to a track and drive. That's allowed. I've done that before. That was fun. We took the car I had last year and took it to a track. That was something else.
Awesome.
Maybe you need to talk a little bit about your cars.
I'd like to hear more about him.
Yeah, because I have to say something first. Waycare, when he was going to describe your car, like I think it's a Corvette. That was the closest, and it had a lot of horsepower.
I remember it was over 1,000. That's the one thing I remember. It was like, there were a lot of horses.
Exactly. And you did, like I told you did a really good analogy to explaining it like car to body and how that works, and like you just keep pushing the platform as far as you can, and that's what I've done. Remember the time that I did drive you, you took a ride in it, and you kind of that look on your face. It's like that, and it happens to me every time I'm in the car. Like I'll just get on it and drive it, and I'll be like, you just get that big smile on your face, like, man, that's like it's a drug in itself. It's horsepower. But for me, it's a really good separation from living a lifestyle, and bodybuilding is like, I mean, Knut's showing 13 hours a day of what it takes to live this lifestyle. So for me, it's having something that could separate myself, give me a mental break from the constant. Okay, eat now. I gotta get to the gym. I gotta you're always thinking about your physique and what I have to do. But for me, separation, kind of a pastime hobby that I really enjoy, and it's the community itself is great. I think the car community, if anybody's ever been involved, gone to car shows, knows I've met some of my best friends in the world from that car community. I've been a car guy since I first started being able to drive at 16. Kind of the nickname King Snake came from my first Mustang Cobra I had, and that was back in the forum days when people used didn't use their name. They just had like a screen name that you use across all the forums, and I used King Snake because I had a Mustang Cobra at the time.
I never knew that. Okay, that's funny.
Started, and then I still have a Mustang Cobra. I got an 03 Cobra that's still being worked on, and then I got a 01 Corvette, which is kind of the pride and joy of the pack. And then I have a truck, my F-250 truck, that's actually pretty fast too. Diesel, and it's all kind of tuned up too. So
you found a way to make the truck fast too?
I got a little horsepower addiction, I'm not gonna lie.
But I mean, like, can you name a more reliable source of joy if something you have to do every day makes you smile? Like, fucking, I don't know, man. What else in life is doing that for anyone? Like, ever? Like, if you got that, keep it, man. Fucking A.
Exactly. It's expensive hobby, but it's great.
You just gotta work a cool job. You got a good job, it gives you enough money to do a cool hobby, then
just be a pro bodybuilder. There you go.
Just be a pro.
Have elite genetics. Have elite genetics. Apply it diligently for like 15 years, guys. You too can have a cool car.
Success. That's what everybody thinks. And after 15 years in the shadows.
Well, I'm trying to think if we had more like housekeeping questions before we take some chat questions and whatnot, and see what the community has to say. But I wonder,
is there some good questions?
Oh, definitely.
We have a list.
There are also probably some bad ones, but we asked him to curate some.
Let's see here.
I don't think
there's a full channel on Discord here. Let's see, questions for podcast. There's some at least. Do you see it as well, Wake? Or do you want me to start?
I think you should start.
I can just start at the top. The first one, simple question, is do you like lemonade? This is the first one.
That for me?
Yeah, that's what every question is for you, Steve.
Lemonade, diet lemonade is the jam. That's my go-to for lemonade. Yes.
Wait, Crystal Light? What do you do?
Chick-fil-A diet lemonade.
Oh, Chick-fil-A diet lemonade. No shit. I didn't even know they made a diet version of that.
Game changer.
Dude, yep. Chick-fil-A fucks so hard. Like, and it's something that you can actually slot neatly into, like, you can get grilled chicken there. It's not to say I'd rely on that, but you can in a pinch. When I'm in Dallas, I like anytime we've ever shot, I fucking go to Chick-fil-A and I get like Kyle. I will make him drive me there, and we'll get like 30 fucking grilled chicken nuggets, and I'll like partition that throughout my day because it's hard to cook.
Yeah.
Do you have the brand Zero in Texas? Lemonade. It's sugar free.
That is certainly
the brand. Zero is the brand.
No,
I
haven't seen it. That's Norwegian.
I'm not sure if it is
Definitely.
Norwegian. I'm not sure if it is Norwegian.
It's
I
just
don't know.
zero, the irrational number zero. You know?
Yeah, but it's
nothing.
ZER and then a 0.
Yeah, we do not have
You
that.
don't have that. You should try it. I'll bring a few bottles to Texas when I come over. Give you a few each.
What do we got? What else?
Next one is, do you like anime? Anime. The standard question on Twitch. Please say you don't know what it is.
I didn't catch that one.
Ask it.
Wait, Steve. Are you saying you don't know what that means, or you didn't hear it?
I didn't hear it.
He is if you liked anime.
I'm too old for that shit.
Me and Carlos spent like 30. We had Carlos on for our first episode. We spent like 30 minutes trying to convince Knut to give it a shot. It's like, no, it could be good. And I'm like, look, I know, like, look, just take it. Like, I didn't expect to like it either. I didn't watch until like a year ago, and my girlfriend was like, look, just try this one show. And then I learned that it's just all about people training to get super strong and powerful so they can beat like true villainy. And I'm like, all right, fuck it, I can get into that. But his community hates anime, so they're gonna fucking love you.
They're getting claps in chat and base emotes.
I'd rather see like a John Wick movie. Just give me real guns and let's go.
Do you shoot, Steve?
Yeah.
What do you shoot?
Big gun guy. I think carries. I got a custom Glock 19, and then I probably have like 50 guns. I'm not gonna lie. So
Dude,
50 guns.
all right, Knut, we got every time we talk with Knut about moving here, he keeps saying he's gonna open carry a Desert Eagle, and that's his ultimate objective. He's gonna move here and open carry a fucking 50 cal.
They don't have guns in Norway, do they?
Well, you can have guns, but you have to be locked down. It's like special rules, and it's only if you have hunting license or a license for being in a pistol club where you do sports shooting. So you don't have allowed. You're not allowed.
They probably don't sell you like I learned about self-defense rounds. I was at her name is BX Bullet. She does stuff with John a lot, and I was just over at her house, and she does a lot of gun demonstrations. I guess she's a big firearms enthusiast. A lot of self-defense stuff, and she was talking about the difference between competition rounds and self-defense rounds, and how they're not in all likelihood, if you can have a pistol in Norway, you can't have like the ammunition that would make it substantially dangerous.
No, I don't think so.
Right.
But I don't.
Yeah,
but wait, I don't need any
it's human
bullets.
killing rounds is what it is. It's human killing rounds. Like, it doesn't matter what you want to call it, chat. Self-defense or not, it's about it can do that, and that is what self-defense is in this context. Is like it will stop someone from hurting you because they are now hurt more than you are. That's all it is.
Yeah, but wait, when I'm coming on moving there, I don't need bullets because I'm never going to use the gun. Maybe I'm not shooting. There, but it's just for the look, just because you can. That's why.
Dude, I feel like if you're gonna open carry it, it has to have at least one bullet. Like you don't, because then people they're gonna know you got a gun. You want to
maybe have it on the other. Maybe have clip in the pocket, another one.
Yeah, people do walk around with guns here. Like, that is a real thing, you don't want to. If you ever, and you're a big dude, people love to antagonize big dudes. Like, that is. Do you experience that, Steve? Like, people who will just be like, this fucking guy at bars or something like that. If you're ever out in the city.
Hey, it's changed a little bit, but back in the day, it would probably that would happen. Somebody get some liquid courage, and they would, be a little guy. You say something smart, whatever, but you just don't let it bother you. But that does happen. Yeah.
Every time I ever go, I remember I was out with Luke and Hunter, I think once. I forget where we were. Might have been Dallas, but we went out to get some food, and there were just 3 drunk dudes who just really wanted to make something happen there. It was all that they were looking to do. For some reason, anytime people see big guys, they're like, "Oh, yeah, you think you're really strong?" They are, man. Don't do this.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks it's like fake muscle. No one you can launch people. You can throw them 30 yards. You don't people are very strong. Bodybuilders are strong dudes. It's not like inert muscle. They're stupid. People who think that are dumb.
It's not filled with air.
Yeah. Yeah, that's literally chat. Exactly. There are tons of people who are gonna be like, I can beat up a bodybuilder. They're not fat. I'm like, dude, they will grab you and throw you. Yeah, that was Luke, Mackie, Hunter, Liv, and I. Yeah, that was what it was. I remember that. It was so weird, Kyle. So weird.
It doesn't happen here. Like I'm not obviously not much out on clubs or anything anymore. That's years ago, but I feel like it's the same here. It's more back in the days. Nowadays, I haven't experienced that. I can't remember many years since I've experienced something like that.
It's so interesting because like just as like maybe a general. I mean, I'm 20. I just turned 27, and like I don't experience. And maybe it's just that I'm a big dude as well. Like I'm tall, so I don't feel like people have ever like looked to me as like I'm gonna start a fight with this guy. There's something about bodybuilders that people are like, he can't be that strong. It's like a totally different. It's not just being big. It's like you become a target because you're like muscular. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
It's weird. It's a weird thing. Wait. So what else? What else do we get from Chad?
What more we have? There's how weird should we have the questions? Who should we skip?
Oh, what's the question?
It's boxers or briefs. It's do you wash rice?
The rice question's a good one. We gotta ask about the rice.
Yeah. Okay. We couldn't hear you. Try again. I think Discord is fucking up again. It might be the settings, because now when you're closer, there's a setting on your Discord, Steve, which could fix this. But it's do you see the cogwheel bottom left corner on your Discord below the? If you press there, go to voice and video, and then it says automatically determine input sensitivity, and you take that one off. And then when you talk, you can see the line is going up, and you have to adjust it so when you're talking, it's above on the green line. Do you see that one?
Yeah, the green line.
Yeah. So you adjust the bar, so when you're talking, it should be on the green side. When you're quiet, it can be on the yellow side.
But,
I think that's the problem.
that work?
We can hear you now perfectly.
Okay.
So do you wash your rice before you cook it?
No, I do not. Now, certain rice you do need to do that because it's got too much starch. But I eat rice and I literally pour it in, put water, salt, let's go.
Wait, what's the rice you use? Jasmine, you said? The fuck?
Yeah.
You're missing out on life if you don't have jasmine rice.
Dude, I'm a big Calrose guy. I've only been doing Calrose. Well, that's what Luke put me on, and so now it's all I can do now is just short grain Calrose. Jasmine's my second though.
Yeah, I use jasmine as well. I think that tastes best. I haven't tried the one you're talking about, Wake, but other than that,
Calrose is kind of a bitch to find. I don't really. It's Luke's fault for getting me into this, man. Like now I'm like a fucking prima donna about it because it's the only rice I like now. Shouldn't have ever done it. Okay. Then let's see. Someone asked, "Do you drink soda in every meal like Knut?"
That's so
I got away from really. I don't even really drink drinks unless I'm having like pizza or burger where I want like a Coke with it. But
yeah,
I'm just a kind of water kind of guy.
Even diet soda, not into it.
Even diet soda, I'm not a. I mean, I really have to be like craving something when I'm dieting, like something sweet, and just to kill that sweet tooth, I'll take a sip of some diet soda, but that's it.
Damn, that's hardcore.
That's strict.
I'm a big fan of diet soda. Yeah.
Well, same.
Someone asked, what is your target amount of protein intake per day? I'm interested if you even know that, because I've just been doing meal plans for so long that, like, I don't even know what I eat by way of protein.
Kind of the same way. I just get, I know my meal plan and what I got to do. I average probably, like, I could tell you amounts, 8 to 9 ounces of cooked protein a meal. Like, if it's chicken, fish, or and that's over 6 meals, and 1 meal's eggs and egg whites for breakfast. So, yeah, add that up. So it's in the 400s.
Fucking A, dude. Do you cook your egg whites? I'm assuming you're not like a drinker. I drank egg whites for about 2 months. It was just shitting myself nonstop. Like, it was not worth the. I was trying to put in as much food as I could. Terrible for my digestion, dude. Terrible.
Yeah. I have no clue what the ounce is with meat, so it doesn't say me.
8 ounces is about, I think, like 8 ounces around 200 grams, 200 to like 250 grams, I think, cooked.
Pre-cooked.
Because that's all like his cooked weight, which. Pre-cooked, that would probably be somewhere around like, I'd say you probably lose like a quarter to a third of the weight when you cook it, depending on how you cook it. So it's probably going to be somewhere around like 300-ish per meal, uncooked.
Yeah.
What do you do? I know Patrick likes to keep his protein low.
He gives me 200 grams of egg white for breakfast plus 2 whole eggs, so that's around 250 grams of egg whites. I'm not sure what that is. And then you have 3 meals of 200 grams chicken, 1 with 200 grams steak, and 330 grams of egg white for the last meal, plus some shakes, a little bit, like probably 50 grams of protein even before the breakfast in amino acids and whey protein, and probably 30 grams of protein during the training. 30, no, maybe more.
You have intra-workout protein?
Amino acids, yeah.
Oh, yeah. I've never tabulated amino acids as protein.
But it is, you count it into the daily protein
is.
intakes, because it is basically pure protein. So I would guess
you're
around...
doing like 6 cooked.
Yeah.
6 ounces cooked a meal.
Yeah. So I would guess 300 to 350 grams somewhere a day. It's just a guess without calculating of protein.
That's still a pretty fucking heavy amount. That's the only real expense is protein and like getting good quality protein. And like when you can actually, and then if you, in my opinion, if you can afford to get grass fed shit, do it, dude. Like try to get like the best quality meats you can. I actually have a dude, and I don't know if do you do a lot of red meat, Steve?
Red meat, obviously right now more around the fish chicken side of things, but I'm a big red meat fan, especially like bison. I have buddies that hunt big game, and he killed a bison last summer last year. Man, he loaded up my fridge probably about 300 pounds of bison, and
that's fucking awesome.
I eat it on my contest prep because it's so lean too. You know?
Yeah. Bison's fucking awesome, man. If I could afford, I've always told people like my goal is like to have like, you know, that kind of like organic food money, you know, where like I can do that, like just to try that's like I don't need more money once I can eat like all the like good organic like, you know, healthy grass fed locally sourced shit. I'm stoked.
You can move up here. We can switch because you can just go to the farms down the street there and buy some meat. A lot of farmers in the area.
Well, we should be able to do that here, you know. Like I know a lot of cattle farmers, like you know, some close family friends who have cattle farms. It's just more like they're still expensive, you know. Like I'm into like, you know, the 5 pound, like a pound of lean like ground beef here is like $5 in Texas. Like it's cheap. I don't even know what that is in your currency, but like
how much did you say?
It's cheap. A pound is going to be about $5 USD, 5 to 6.
That's cheap. Especially if it's red meat.
Everything's more expensive over in Europe.
Everything, at least Norway is one of the most expensive countries in the world for everything.
Yeah, that's what I remember. I dated someone. Well, I've told you that before. I dated someone who was there, and it was just the amount of money that like everything that she'd be like, in Norway, this is, you know, and it'd be like, fucking, how do you afford anything? How do you live? But then I realized, you know, they got their own standard wages and shit. You can. It works out, obviously. They still eat, you know.
We still eat. But most people eat really unhealthy. I tried one day not long ago to just try, 10,000 calories just to see how much I had to eat in unhealthy food. Just tried one day for fun. And it was basically nothing. It was cheap. It was way cheaper than eating the regular meals that I do, it was nothing.
Yeah. Well, that's the trap of it all, is that like it's actually very inexpensive to eat like shit, you know? Like if you
It
really
is.
want to, like that's why it's so challenging for like the why you would have like, let's say, like higher obesity rates in certain impoverished people. That like it's really it's convenient and cheap to eat like shit, you know? Which is an interesting, entirely other like socioeconomic thing to talk about, but. Oh, someone asked, this is a great question. What are the good and bad sides of being so big? Because you get fucking enormous. Like you're a huge dude, you know. Like the amount of weight you carry is significant. Like what are the upsides and the bad side and the downsides?
That's a good question. Carrying the size I do, I think it's more. There's reason behind why I carry the size I do at this point.
Yeah.
Obviously, to compete at a high level, bodybuilder, I wouldn't be as big. I think if I was competing, but I still would hold probably 240 or 250, really without trying too hard. You know, I joke. I'm like, I look forward to the day I could eat maybe 2 to 3 meals a day, and that's it. Like, I just want to. You know, I've been eating fucking 7 meals a day forever.
You do 7 meals a fucking day, dude. Holy shit.
All right, I try. You know, there's days where I end up falling asleep, but yeah.
Well, do you ever do the like mid sleep meal?
Like, if that's the case, yeah. I'm not like I'm gonna get up, and I'm usually too tired and half out of it to like sit and all right, I'm gonna eat a meal. Like, no, I'm gonna hammer a shake, go right back to bed.
Yeah.
Too important.
Wait, so what are the downsides then, man? Like just like the general heaviness of it all and
body. I mean, we do push our body to extremes. You know, with there's stress on joints, stress on heart. So you have to. I think you just gotta again listen to your body, treat it well, and like we kind of going back to the car analogy. You know, if you change your oil, change your tires, do the things you got to do to maintain a vehicle for a long time. So, that's my take on it.
you know, Steve, I think you might have accidentally set your voice activation thing to less sensitive, or like
What you should
like you
do,
went the wrong direction.
I can instruct you. If you go back to voice video and you pull the thing a little bit more over to the yellow side, pull it
Left?
Yeah, put
Okay.
it to the left,
Okay.
because then it will be.
There we
pick
go.
up.
There we go.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah.
Way better.
And then are any of these someone? Jesus, guys! Someone said, "What is your favorite exercise for growing the ass?" Governor. Why?
I will answer that. The reverse. I can't even think of the name of the exercise. It's like the old West Side barbell reverse hyper, like the swing where you're kind of laying on the bench and then your legs are down and you swing up. Like
Reverse hyperextension.
Yep.
Those are OG. I don't know any bodybuilder that struggles with growing glutes. Like I've never known. Like it's such a like they're so active in so much of what you do with your legs that it seems like it's just an accidental growth thing for everyone.
And these days
Which
it
is
is
also
fashion.
a great. Wait, what'd you say?
It is fashion these days. You need to grow your glutes.
But that's why, like, also, like, maybe, like, taking notes from people who invariably grow their glutes rather than, like, you know, the person who got the BBL doing glute kickbacks, you know? It's not to say that they're all wrong, but because some great fucking competitors do glute kickbacks, like great bikini competitors, and that's its own kind of division, you know?
Yeah.
Which is fascinating in that the more I've worked in this industry, the more I've come to appreciate, like, the differences or distinctions. I wrote it off at first, just like, what the fuck are they valuing? But now you kind of get it, you know? But some people do. There's a lot of ways to go about this shit. Peanut butter and fridge. I don't even know if Steve eats peanut butter. Steve, do you eat peanut butter?
I love peanut butter, but it's one of those foods that I end up finding I have a little sensitivity to that'll give me like reflux, which sucks. But I do enjoy. I'm more of the almond butter kind of guy.
Almond butter, dude. The fresh ground. Oh fuck, you guys don't have HEB where you are. I just forgot that.
We have a few. We have a couple that are close. Central Market is an HEB store.
Yeah.
And we have that, yeah.
I always just get the fresh ground almond butter. It's super cheap and it's just pure almond, just ground down. It's fucking great.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do we have another one that
I
looks
don't,
good to you?
there's so much bullshit question.
It's so many bullshit.
Maybe before we quit or finishing off, maybe you want to. Who do you think will be your top 3? Do you want to do that in Arnold?
Yeah, I'd like to know some predictions for sure.
Predictions on Arnold. Do you want to give out any?
Like that. I think if you just go clearly, I mean, thing about bodybuilding, anybody could show up and surprise people. I mean, you look at like the year like that Luke Sandow showed up, played second. I mean, he surprised a lot of people because Luke, really wasn't that big of a threat, but people were talking about him. He showed up, looked amazing, and I think just shows you if you do your homework and nail it, you could do really well.
It's true.
Obviously, Brandon being an Olympia contender or winner, he's one of the favorites going in, no doubt. Bonak's got history of winning at the Arnold, so he's definitely a favorite to look at. Myself, top 3 guy going into it from last year, I think is a contender there. Justin Rodriguez, another guy that, he plays 4th last year. It's got a good shot. Akim's kind of a wild card. If he shows up, he can do really well. I think Brent's another wild card. I think he's really been busting his ass and looks phenomenal. You got Cedric, another previous winner, doing it, and Cedric's always a threat. So a lot of really good guys. A lot of good guys doing it. So
it's funny if you took everyone at their best. If you take everyone at their best, it's like it could be anyone's game. It's so like But how often do people get their best? That's the question. The reliable ones, big. Like, you're someone who's always in striking range. I haven't seen you really I've never been like, what the fuck happened to Steve?
Right.
So like that's a big thing too. Is like there are going to be so many people who show up with we've had many. What the fuck happened to Akeem? What the fuck happened to Cedric? We got like Bonak and you and Brandon who are really consistent, and Brett's an unknown, but if he can replicate what he brought to Chicago with added tissue in his arms, he could be a totally viable top 5 contender.
Absolutely, no doubt in that for sure.
And his transformation is fucking ridiculous too, because he was if you look at how quickly he's changed in 4 years, it's dizzying.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But it shows you, man, if you really put your mind to it and do everything you have to do in the sport, you train your ass off, you eat your ass off, you do all the things right, you could really make some changes.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this is one. So someone did ask, I didn't know you were a fucking firefighter for a long time. Like I learned that just recently. That's how much because that's a lot of time in a job, and it's physically demanding as well. How do you fucking balance bodybuilding with that, man? Because I'm sure a lot of people here want to get into this shit, want to get into bodybuilding, but they struggle with time management, getting meals in because of jobs. But you had a fucking grueling one. How'd you
Yeah, and like I said, I work for the city of Dallas, so it's one of the busier cities, and we work 24 on, 48 off, so 24 hours shifts. I always say this, I turned pro working the busiest ambulance in the city of Dallas, and we split our time between the engine and the ambulance. So one shift you'd work on the fire side, the next would be the EMS side. And it definitely taught me stress management. It taught me not to, there's times where you're so regimented eating every 2 or 3 hours. There's times where I'd be gone on calls for 4 or 5 hours, not be able to get my meal in, not stress about it, and just make sure I still follow through with the plan. If I need to condense meals a little bit, like maybe go an hour and a half instead of wait 3 hours, just to kind of get them in. It definitely taught me that even when I think I'm tired, that I know I got more left in the tank, because I remember shift leaving the station at 6:30 in the morning, working 24 hours and damn near falling asleep on the way home, and I remember driving home, eyes start shutting, I end up 2 lanes over, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm alive right now, just crazy stuff. But
Jesus.
It taught me a lot. How to manage stressful situations, like I said, but also I'm very solution oriented because of that. Like if something's wrong, okay, I'm going to figure out the solution. And bodybuilding or firefighting allowed me to pursue bodybuilding at the level I'm able to do it at now. Just financially and the time off that I had, and I was able to really schedule everything, kind of accomplish what I wanted to accomplish. And I got to a point where I needed to figure out, am I going to be all in on bodybuilding, or I'm going to try to manage both? And it became a real big stress trying to manage both, get time off to travel and make appearances like I was doing all the time. When, you know, expos were going full bore and you'd make appearances at stores, stuff like that. Now it's a little bit different, but, you know, I decided to be all in on bodybuilding, and I would consider that the right call.
Yeah, I think most would, man.
I can tell you, Wake, a little fun fact. First time I saw the first picture I ever saw of Steve was a friend of mine showing. He was standing posing beside a red fire truck. I can't remember exactly what year this was, but I remember it was one of my friends. He said, "This is predicted to be a future Mr. Olympia."
Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing too. It's like Steve you can absolutely be Mr. Olympia. Like, that's what's so fucking cool about the sport, is that there are like probably like 10 to 15 dudes in this sport who like who's gonna show up, who's gonna make it all happen. Who like, for whom will the stars align here? Because like it's the possibility is totally there, man. But what's great, and Steve, like, you know, I don't know how much more time we want to take up of yours. So one of the things I really wanted to give credence to, and something I wanted to make sure I like very publicly made clear, is that like you are one of the few people I know, like you practice very diligently what it is you discuss and the kind of principles you want to embody, and that, like, you know, I reached out to you and you were very quick to be like, congrats on the podcast, like that's fucking awesome, be happy to help you out, you know, like you really do try to like lift up and see to the success of the people in your corner, and that's something that isn't the most common thing in the world, you know. And so when I observe it in people, I want to make sure I give credence to it and know that, like, make
Thank
people,
you.
you know, who you know don't know this, know that it's real, you know. With that in mind, man, like what's next for Steve in life? Like, you know, what do you see in like 10 years? Like, how, because like everyone needs an exit strategy from bodybuilding, and I know that you're deeply embedded in like entrepreneurship and what it is you're doing in the communities that you're a part of. Like, what do you see for yourself?
That's definitely a question that comes more and more, definitely at the front of my thoughts. You know, obviously as we get toward the end of a stage career, you know, everything I do I realize is very focused around the fitness world. I promote 3 bodybuilding shows, the Kuclo Classics, and they've, you know, growing that, and that's something that obviously creates a revenue stream. I have a few other ventures I'm kind of starting up. You know, talked about maybe starting a supplement line myself. It's kind of a crazy time to do it, but that's something that's been put on the table for me. Obviously, starting a family is something that is at the forefront of thought. I think, you know, the sport's so selfish and self-consuming a lot that it's like, man, I want to, you know, there's that other part of life that I want to accomplish or you know, do. So that's something Michelle and I talked about, you know, starting a family, and it's exciting, you know, and obviously making sure that I financially provide for my family and do right that I need to do, and the right alignments usually will lead to your next assignment in life. So it's you know, the people I've aligned with have, you know, have kind of guided me, and I see the relationships and where they've developed into, you know, business ventures.
Oh yeah, I think that's awesome, man. And
I celebrate success, like you know, you guys are doing this, and I know it takes hard work. You know, people think things are easy or things are handed to you, or you know, you haven't grinded for a long time just trying to build your following and do what you're doing. And I applaud everybody that puts in the effort and has success at it, for sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate that. Man, do you have anything else you got on your mind?
I don't think it is anything special, but I want to thank you for taking some time off and joining us. That's nice of you.
Absolutely, man.
And when I come to Texas, maybe I can ask you if we can do a workout on stream.
That's a deal. You bring one of those zero iced teas, you got a deal.
I'll bring a zero lemonade, and I'll bring my backpack with the camera on so we can live stream and we can do a workout.
Deal.
Hell yeah.
That will be nice. Well,
deal. Thank you, guys. Man, it's been great. I'd love to come on again. Maybe after the Arnold, we could have a trophy.
We need to do that.
Hell yeah.
We will love to have you back. So
Yeah, and I'm excited for you to see how the podcast changes. This is our second one, so we're still figuring out our flow and our strategies and everything. So we really appreciate you being willing to come on and like be like an initial test subject as well, man. Because
I get asked to do them a lot, and I'm like, man, if I say yes to everyone, I'm just going to be spending all my days on this podcast. But there's guys like you that I appreciate, and I know that you have a strong affinity for the sport and appreciate it and really do it from a classy perspective, and I'm honored to be on here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it.
Okay, then we'll let you go. Have a great evening.
Yes.
And good luck in Arnold Classic.
Yeah, man. We'll probably illegally
2.5 weeks.
2.5 weeks. We will be watching.
Deal. Yes. Well, can't wait, guys. Thank you again, and we'll be talking soon.
Yes, have a good evening.
Chat loved you, by the way. They're all saying, tell Steve we love him. Tell Steve we love him.
Yes,
I appreciate it. I love you guys. Love you guys.
Next time we'll show you chat as well.
I'll just put a little shameless plug in there. Where,
do that.
I'm trying to get a little, traction. Obviously, I put stuff up on Instagram all the time and do stuff like that. But the new platform that's really kicking off for video type stuff is Rumble, and I'm trying to build that. Kind of. I got a bunch of videos I'm going to be releasing next week or two that I've been filming stuff just to kind of build up a library. So,
do you have any links? That would help.
Just Rumble and Steve Kuclo is going to be it. So I'm like I said, I'm just loading everything up. I think I got some more filming I'm doing tomorrow, and got some good stuff. So you guys, if you want to follow, get a little more exclusive content, we're going to be putting a lot up there too.
Yeah,
is it already up? Steve Kuclo.
I literally just I don't even know if I have everything up yet. If I have everything loaded, I don't know if it's listed yet.
Okay. No, I haven't tried, but
we'll make sure to get that link in chat.
When we put it on YouTube, we will put a link in the description if it's up, or we can edit later and put it there as well.
Sure.
So we can do that. No problem.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate your fans, and let's talk soon.
Hell yeah, man. Would love it.
Yes.
All right. You guys have a good one.
Goodbye.
Likewise, man. Take care.